On today's episode of the Driven Mad podcast, we discuss the rather anticlimactic Hungarian Grand Prix. So, Hungarian Grand Prix roundup, why we think Red Bull could win every single race this season. Is this McLaren's comeback? And finally, Danny Ric, the honey badger himself, returns. Exciting times coming up on this podcast right now. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Driven Mad podcast, proudly supported by Sports Illustrated. My name's Alex Harrington, and to my left, in front of this blue wall, is the Lydia Me.
Hello, and if you like what we're saying, please do give us a follow on social media. So you are at Alex Does F1, I am at Lydia Me F1, and while you're there, give F1 F1 a follow for all the latest updates.
Yeah, and before we jump in, make sure you subscribe on your favourite podcast supplier. I promise you, I am doing my best to make sure we are there. We are definitely on Spotify, and we are definitely on Apple Podcasts. So take a look. We are there, I promise. But yeah, in the very soon-to-be future, we will be on every one of your favourite podcast suppliers. Right, Hungarian Grand Prix, let's get straight into it. Out of 10.
Well, I've decided because I'm always really nice, I'm just not going to be. So I think I'm going to give them a 3.
It was poor, wasn't it? I think I'm also going to give it a 3 slash 4. No, 3.
Oh.
It was, you know what? We had George Russell going from 18th to 6th.
Yeah.
And it was still the most boring race in the world.
I think what made it worse was that everyone, whether you're a Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes fan or not, was so excited because we had somebody else on pole other than a Red Bull.
Yeah.
So obviously, huge moment, so much hype, and then turn one, it's all gone to crap, and we're just back in the Red Bull train.
Yeah, I mean, we thought it was, I know Hungary's not, the Hungaroring isn't the best track in the world, but with someone else, it doesn't, we're not being biased, it doesn't matter who was on pole, someone else other than a Red Bull was on pole, and that was incredibly exciting.
Yeah.
And then after the first corner, it went back to normal viewing, didn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's just to the point, and I know we're going to get onto Red Bull's dominance and all of that, but when you can't even get excited by strategy because Max can just pit for free because he's that far ahead, it does take some of the excitement away. There were, like you say, George Russell did amazingly. Perez made some spots up as well, but there was no real big on-track battles where, they're fighting for the position. It's all just DRS overtake or...
Welcome to modern F1.
Yeah, or what's the point of fighting a Red Bull? It's going to overtake me anyway. Shall I just move over?
Yeah, well, I mean, everyone but Tsunoda, of course. Yeah. Tsunoda, if you missed it, he was shown blue flags. I think he was shown like 17 blue flags or something. And he didn't move over for Lando Norris. And Lando was complaining. And everyone's like, oh, why is Lando complaining so much? Because Yuki was literally in the way for half a day.
Yeah, it's valid.
Yeah,
half a day.
Valid. Yuki, he was obviously under pressure because of Danny Ric being back. He did not... He didn't reflect so well today, did he?
No.
Today, last Sunday.
Yeah, not so much. I mean, like you say, there's a lot of pressure on him, but also he put it in quite a positive spin. Obviously, I know we're going to talk about
positive spins. Are you talking about Alpine?
But he was saying that if he had beaten Nick de Vries, everyone would have predicted that. So does that really look that great on him? Probably not. If he can beat Danny Ricciardo, like he's my best friend. I wish. Then it looks really good on him.
But he didn't.
So
it looks really bad.
So I'm trying here, but no, it's not working.
Especially when Danny Ric, we'll get onto this later in the podcast, so we won't talk about it too much now, but he literally got hit on the first corner, went to the bottom of the pack, and still came P13.
Yep.
Unbelievable. Well done.
The first corner was the most exciting part. obviously,
It's not
because
saying much.
I'm trying here.
It's like, we're going to put bamboo up your fingernails. What's your favourite part? Well, I like the first bit. God, it was just...
But let's just try and find the positives out of it, or the drama. So obviously you had...
drama?
So
Am I the drama?
you are definitely, you're 100% the drama. Obviously we had to do Grand New. He started in 5th.
Alfa Romeo was looking good.
Really good. And I felt so bad for him because he had an issue on the start, which meant he had a rubbish start, couldn't get off the line properly. Then...
That almost caused the Alpine issue, I feel.
Yeah. Then he, may or may not have clipped the back of Pierre Gasly. Then obviously there was the crash between the two Alpines, double DNF.
Sad.
From
The second double
turn
DNF.
1.
Yeah.
They had a double DNF in Silverstone.
Yeah.
Do they even turn up to Belgium?
I mean...
They need a hug.
Pierre was very excited about coming to Alpine. I can just feel that his confidence in the team is not necessarily in the team, but this season generally is waning.
Yeah, although if he looks at AlphaTauri, I think he'll be all right.
Good point. But I did feel like we were all kind of expecting Alpine to stay in 4th position, didn't we?
Yeah.
And obviously that's not happened.
No.
But
The other thing on turn 1, just quickly, Oscar Piastri.
oh,
What
Oscar's
a
great.
start.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. No, I think he is so good. I mean, I wrote an article earlier. I can't remember who it was.
Eddie Jordan.
Eddie Jordan, thank you. Eddie Jordan, someone with a lot of experience. He knows what he's talking about. He thinks Oscar Piastri should move to Red Bull.
Oh, we'll add him to the list, shall we?
Yeah, add him to the list. One
my
more.
God.
While we're on the subject, we might as well talk about Red Bull.
Yep.
They, judging from the performance last weekend, I feel like they could, if everything goes their way, reliability, a bit of luck, if everything goes their way, I think they could finish with a full set of wins throughout this season.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
because they've beaten Lotus's record, 12 wins in a row. I mean, I know we've got a lot of exciting stuff happening behind the Red Bull, behind Max Verstappen. But
Savage.
But yeah,
But fair.
I mean, but it doesn't reflect well on these new regulations, does it?
No.
And I know a lot of people are going, well, we've always had periods like this. Of course we have. Schumacher, Hamilton, Vettel, whatever. We've always had periods like this, but these new regulations were brought in to stop that.
Yeah.
And they just haven't. And I don't know whether that's because the car is just so good, whether Red Bull is manipulating potential loopholes, which, don't get me wrong, a load of the teams will be doing.
Yeah.
Something has happened, which means Red Bull is... I mean, Verstappen finished 33 seconds ahead of Lando. That's ridiculous.
And on a weekend where leading up to the Grand Prix, everyone was saying, have they
lost? Yes.
lost some of their dominance?
Yeah, I mean, Hamilton was like, we should look at that because, has the FIA done something to get rid of their DRS?
They turned party mode off.
Yeah. No, I mean, we've seen this before. Ferrari in 2019, there was like a secret negotiation between them and the FIA about them turning their fuel usage down. Things like that have happened, but then you look at the dominance Max showed, and Perez, to be fair, he went from P9 to P3. The dominance that car is showing is ridiculous. So it does kind of call into question, what does F1 do now? Because viewership is down 25% in America.
I think so, yeah.
That is ridiculous. Ridiculous. For a sport that's supposed to be growing rapidly, 25% reduction year on year is scary. So I do feel... And before I say this, I just want to give a little caveat. Red Bull are amazing. They deserve the success they are receiving. They deserve it completely because they are perfect. They're a well-oiled machine. And they deserve all the wins because they are great. But as a sport, does F1 or the FIA need to step in?
But how does that look from a sport point of view? A team has effectively done the job perfectly and they're going to be punished for it?
Yeah, good question.
So that in itself overall doesn't look great for the sport.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time the first time F1 has stepped in to, get rid of a certain design or a certain party mode or, whatever. No, you should get rid of that big red button kind of thing. But yeah, I completely get it. Like, from our point of view, it doesn't look as though Red Bull is doing anything extra crazy. They just have built an amazing car.
Yeah, they've just got it right, and they got it right straight away.
Yeah.
Because they've got Adrian Newey, let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's generalization. But,
and
yeah,
his
basically.
team, there will be other people involved.
That's right. Adrian Newey and his team.
But it played into his strengths massively. They got it right from the very beginning, whereas Mercedes, yes, they've had improvements, but it took them 1.5 years to let go of their zero side pod design.
Yeah.
Now, the new side pods that they've got, they're not integrated with the whole design of the car, of the W14. They're just kind of a make do and mend situation.
Yeah, exactly. It is a make do.
So if you haven't got it right from the very beginning, you are at a disadvantage.
Because then the cost cap comes in.
Cost cap, wind tunnel.
Yeah.
They are all on the back foot, and Red Bull just, got it right from the beginning. So from like a principle point of view,
Well done.
What do you mean?
Well, the team principal point of view.
Oh, I just meant like the principles, like
Go
moral.
on, carry on.
Now I feel like it's the wrong word.
Go on, just say it. We'll figure that out later.
It's like a little code. Anyway, from the principles of just like looking at everything, why should they be punished for doing a perfect job? Just because.
Yeah, I agree.
I do also think Liberty Media are focused on I don't want to say the show because it is about the sport, but they will be looking at the viewership and thinking, okay, maybe this isn't very exciting for fans. And it's not, because you haven't got the anticipation of who is going to win, because it's almost always...
Well, it has been.
Well, I was going to say almost always Max Verstappen.
Red Bull. Yeah.
Red Bull.
You're right. Yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing.
It's a tricky one.
Any other sport, we wouldn't be having this conversation, because you can't, if a runner keeps winning, you can't go, actually, just to make this more entertaining,
Hop.
we're going to cut off your leg.
Yeah.
It's that kind of question. Like, what do we do? I don't know. Regulations are changing again in 2026. That will bring a bit of a change. New companies coming in, Audi,
potentially some other teams, maybe.
Potentially some other teams. Yeah, too right. But I mean, the worrying thing right now is that Red Bull have already started looking at their next year's car.
Yeah,
and that's really worrying, because a lot of teams will still be developing for this season. There's a huge development war going on right now. Aston Martin finished this. They were the second fastest at the beginning of this season. Mm-hmm. Now they're fifth? It's ridiculous. It's crazy. They're behind Ferrari, and that's saying something. Sorry, Ferrari fans. However much I love the Tifosi, Ferrari's not doing so well.
It's not their year, no.
It's really not. There's a huge development war, and Red Bull are kind of leaning back and going, well, we got this sorted, so let's get a head start on next year, which is dangerous.
That says it all.
Yeah.
They're halfway through the season, 11 races in, and they're like, well,
done.
Let's just move on to next year, because we're 33 seconds ahead, winning races of huge gaps, still getting the fastest pit stop. They could do 10-second pit stops, they'd still win.
Yeah, the top 5 fastest pit stops of this season are all Red Bull. But that's what I'm saying, is why should they be given some sort of penalty for being so fast?
Yeah.
Because they are so good. Everything is perfect, isn't it?
It's different if they were doing something wrong in the background and that needed to be investigated separately.
Yeah, if it does turn out that
cost cap or whatever.
Yeah, cost cap, or if there's a design that doesn't quite fit the regulations, then yeah, of course. But the Max's car has already been through an investigation.
Yeah.
and it passed with flying colours.
Yep.
So it looks as though they are sticking to the rules, which is crazy. I mean, well done, Red Bull. But I know for a fact right now that they already have not a whole car, but parts in the wind tunnel. That's scary for next year.
That's
really scary.
How can they prove that they're not going to learn from that for this year? Because then does that not come into their reduction of wind tunnel time penalty?
That is well, I wonder if as long as they don't bring those upgrades, because they said they are no longer going to bring any upgrades. That's it for this year. Christian Horner, quote, said, done what they said on the tin. Like it's done. So maybe they're going to bring, different wings, high drag, low drag, that kind of thing. Yeah, track specific modifications, but I don't know. I can't tell you. I need to read the regulations. Sergio Perez, though, what do we think about him? On the outside, he did all right.
Yeah. I think everyone was just like, honestly, for your sake, you just need to do something this weekend. Pull it out of the bag. FP1 happened. Shaky start, to say the least.
That was so bad.
That was bad.
I could just see Danny Rick driving past in the Queen's Wave.
Or something else, maybe.
Yeah, or something else. It involved one or more fingers. Not a great start.
No, but he got into Q3.
Hey, that's great, in a rocket ship.
Yeah, hasn't done that in the last, before Hungary, the last 5 races.
Yeah.
So that was good for him. I mean, still, are we saying he did really well because of the last few races where he's had a really bad time? Yeah.
I don't think he did do really well.
Because
he qualified P9.
And finished 3rd.
Yeah.
Which, yes, that's good. But if the Red Bull is that dominant, why would he not be second? That is his job. He is there. When Max doesn't win. When Max wins, come second.
Yeah, exactly. And, whether it highlights a gap between the talent and skill of the drivers, which it likely does, or, is his confidence just ruined? Does he? I mean, he can't be feeling like he's going to stay on with Red Bull.
No.
And I think that's why they did bring in Danny Rick, because it shows they can make a quick choice, but it also shows that they literally have someone right there who they can trust, because they've trusted him enough to put him in AlphaTauri halfway through the season. They will trust Daniel to replace him straight away if necessary.
Yeah, and they are cutthroat. And
yeah, we all know they are.
But what they're doing is outwardly saying Perez's seat isn't in danger, trying to make him feel secure, but at the same time demonstrating
that they can fuck shit up, basically. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but they can.
Your contract will be terminated at any point. We will drop you.
Did you just say terminated?
I said terminated.
Oh, I heard terminated.
Yeah, they've just demonstrated that they are willing to drop people straight away, and they've got people ready and waiting, like you've said, to replace.
Yeah.
But don't worry, you're safe, but you're not. Be safe, but you're not.
Yeah. No, P3 is not good enough, is it really? For an RB19, arguably, you look at the stats, it is the best car in Formula 1 history. He can't be starting P9.
No.
You know who is doing really bloody well though?
McLaren.
Lando Norris.
I hope that was the segue you wanted.
Yeah, it was. Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. They are absolutely killing it right now.
Yeah.
So they've brought in a number of upgrades in Austria. That was for Lando. They followed up with Piastri in the next one. And they are literally the second fastest car right now. They are so... I was going to say so close to Red Bull. They are not so close to Red Bull, but they're close enough to make it slightly uncomfortable. Yeah.
I mean, they had a fantastic finish in Silverstone. Oh, you're breaking things. Yeah. Obviously, P2 for Lando, P4 for Oscar. I did feel for him just missing out on the podium in Silverstone.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Then obviously another P2 for Lando in Hungary, P5 for Oscar. I mean, Oscar is really proving himself.
He's great, isn't he?
Yeah, because it's quite easy. I mean, there's now only 2 rookies. Awkward. He could easily get you Rookie of the Year if he just kind of lost the DNF from now.
Yeah.
Because he has proven that he is just that step above at the moment.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, it really says something when we're disappointed that Lando didn't win.
Yeah.
You know, like the McLaren's so good now, and yes, Red Bulls are still way ahead. But no, yeah, they're just brilliant. And the confidence that is now shining from that team.
Yeah.
And you can see it in their interviews. They are, well, I mean, Lando is still quite pessimistic. That's just part of his character. But they are smiling. And Lando has been waiting so long for this. 2019, he started in McLaren. He's been waiting so long. I think, he's had one race win?
None.
He's had none at all.
No, I don't think so.
Gonna have to Google that later.
No,
he has had bad luck. The car has not been great. He is finally on the road to success. I can see Lando and Piastri, to be honest, as future champions.
Oh, same, without a doubt.
Yeah,
I was right. Thank you.
you're right. What this does mean, however, is Mercedes has been pushed back. Fine, they don't seem to know what they're doing. So,
but how does that look for Mercedes? That
another customer team. Yeah, I mean, like we didn't put out that podcast, did we? I mean, McLaren isn't like Aston Martin, where Aston Martin use a lot of the Mercedes structure, the power unit, like the whole rear of the car, basically. McLaren only use the power unit, so the rest of it is theirs. But it doesn't reflect well on Mercedes, and it just shows that Mercedes have really screwed up somewhere, and they still don't know what to do. You can see, there's this internal war between Hamilton, from what he says, Hamilton and the rest of the team. Hamilton is telling them to do certain things. The team either won't do it or more likely can't do it because of the cost cap, because of wind tunnel time, because of general time. What do? I don't know. They keep saying they're learning from the car and they're learning more, but that seems to just be Toto Wolff's go-to quote.
Also, if you look where McLaren were at the beginning of the year to where they are now, how have they made that big a jump and Mercedes haven't?
Yeah.
I'll leave that with you.
Maybe Lando's been talking to Max. They are best friends outside of F1. So maybe Max was like, you know what?
Here's the design.
Yeah, we have this guy who comes in and puts a rocket on the back of our
It's
cars.
called Noz. Let me introduce you.
Nitrous oxide. No wonder they're always laughing. Laughing gas.
I got it. Thank you.
To the listeners and viewers who didn't get that. Yeah, not so good. Aston Martin is another. They are really struggling. They went, like I said at the beginning, they've gone from like the second fastest car to the fifth fastest. Alonso is kind of losing the will to live now. Because, I mean, remember earlier on, he was like, I will never not be off the podium.
Yeah.
Whoops.
This is why I'm just like, why even say it? Because you're jinxing yourself.
I know. It's
just, please, as soon as he said it, I was like, no, don't, stop.
Yeah, because as soon as he said it, it didn't happen again.
Yeah.
Just, sorry. I mean, it's annoying because Alonso, if anyone deserves it, no, I'm gonna take that back. A lot of them deserve the podium, but Alonso, come on.
I know.
The end of the race was pretty awkward though, wasn't
McLaren's probably, am I going to say downfall of the weekend? It was a very good weekend, so we'll roll with it.
Yeah.
So obviously, just to recap, Lando Norris celebrating on the podium. They're all having a great time, doing the iconic champagne bottle smash.
I love that.
It's so cool.
It's so
I
good.
will be trying it.
Yeah. No.
I don't have any trophies, so it's fine. But he smashes it down on Max's podium. He's focusing on is the champagne's flying out the top. Everyone's having a great time. I'm P2 again. Yay. Doesn't realise that Max's €40,000 trophy
That took 30 days to make or something?
Something like that. Just tips off the edge, smashes.
Did you see his face?
Jaw
to the floor.
I felt terrible for him.
Yeah.
And he's been getting so much backlash online. People
crazy,
saying he's
it?
being really disrespectful.
It was an accident.
It was so clearly an accident. And from a fellow clumsy person, you would feel really awful that that's happened. But, him and Max were laughing about it afterwards. Both
they're best friends,
like
aren't they?
shocked, being like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, Max just points at it with his mouth
And they're like,
open.
ah.
Yeah.
So it was very clearly an accident.
Of course it was.
I mean,
and people are going off
people
saying,
should not be giving him a hard
yeah,
time
like,
for
it's
that.
so disrespectful. It was an accident. Have you
No.
never knocked something over of someone
Yeah.
else's? Like, I know it was £40,000, but even then, in the world of F1,
Yeah.
£40,000 is a tiny drop in the ocean.
Yeah.
Who cares?
And also, it could have been €1 or €1,000,000. It wouldn't have changed whether he didn't think, oh, that's a piece of crap, let's knock that off.
Exactly.
It was just, he didn't mean to do it. It was an accident.
Yeah. If anything, it's helping small independent companies because they now have to go and buy another one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's £40,000 product. It's probably not a small company.
Yeah. Did you
But-
see the videos of them? They're all like hand carved.
I don't know. It did look incredible.
It was
It
beautiful.
looked incredible. But as well, the other point to make, F1 bought that product.
Yeah.
They then have the right to do anything they want with it.
Yeah.
It's like if you buy a glass from Tesco's, you have every right to smash it. It doesn't matter. They can just go and buy another one. Like, it's
Yeah.
not a big deal. Please move on, people.
Yeah.
It's not Lando being disrespectful. I feel like he's got a lot of hate because he also said that Hamilton's never had a really bad car. So, like, he's complaining a lot. And, he should try racing in like P20, P19. What Lando meant was that he has literally had a car that's it's bottom of the barrel car. Like, Hamilton has never had a real bottom of the barrel car.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a year where he had a pretty poor McLaren, but it was never like a McLaren level. That's all he's saying, and he's not meaning it in a mean, critical way as well.
No.
Like, that is just Lando. Like, it's just British humor.
I was going to say that. I think a lot of it is British, sarcastic, very dry humour.
Yeah.
I personally find that really funny, so people probably will hate me.
Yeah, no, because we work with Americans a lot, and before we kind of go over to America, we're like, okay, we need to calm down on the sarcastic humor because it does sometimes come across as quite mean, quite
Yeah.
critical.
Yeah.
We don't mean it like that, but that's how it comes across because it's very contrasting with American humor, which I think, with I was going to say an increasing American viewership, with a decreasing American viewership. I think a lot of American people have picked up on that, but it's fine. It's Lando being Lando.
Did you see Zach Brown?
Oh yes, what a legend!
Iconic. I loved it.
Yeah,
It's so good.
Go on, explain to the people.
So, I don't know if you've seen it, but
It was a Sky F1 broadcast, wasn't
Sky
it?
Sports F1, Ted's Notebook. Ted Kravitz doing his little
Bloody love Ted.
thing after the Hungarian Grand Prix. He's walking around doing the roundup of the race, and McLaren are getting ready to do their big group photo afterwards to celebrate the P2, P5. So they're all there in their huge group. And Lando...
Sea of papaya.
So you would have hated it. Hate papaya orange. And then Zach walks up to go and take his spot, but he obviously he cannot resist. He picks up Lando's second place trophy and he's just like pretending to smash it on the floor. And everyone's just like, ah!
Was the sound effect included?
Yes, you're welcome.
Nice. Oh, I love
Hill
Zach Brown.
week.
Have
Yeah.
you seen, like, afterwards when McLaren does really well, he goes around and basically, like, thumps people.
I know.
It's like, we're small British people, don't do it. He's like, like thumping people and, like, being, like, this massive, big guy.
Yeah.
Bloody love him. He's great. He's
It's
a legend.
so good. And I mean, there's clearly no hard feelings. The teams were joking with each other on social media.
Yeah,
It's all good, man.
It's all good, man.
It's all good.
Yeah. Oh, it's good. It's just a little bit of F1 drama,
Yeah.
which they will milk for organic reach on social media.
I mean, Drive to Survive. They will have been
All over
talk
that.
about fast runners. They will have been sprinting to that podium.
Yeah.
Do it again. Repeat.
Actually, they had a really good weekend because Daniel Ricciardo
I know.
returns.
Guess who's back?
He did so well, didn't it? I mean, we haven't actually talked about this on the podcast yet.
Shall we rewind?
Yeah. Nick de Vries. Yeah, thank you. Nick de Vries. We are so sorry to see Nick go, actually, because it was far too early. Far too early. He did
Agreed.
10 races. ridiculous. He'd barely gotten used to the weight of the clutch, let alone the car, and he was ousted by Red Bull after they saw Danny Rick do the tyre testing at Silverstone. Obviously, he was incredibly fast. Christian Horner said that the lap times he was putting in, obviously different day, different conditions, blah 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 blah. But he would have been at the front of the grid at the British Grand Prix. But yeah, I feel like it was absolutely cutthroat.
Oh yeah, completely. I definitely think it was too soon. I will always love to see Daniel Ricciardo come back to the grid because majority of people would. He's just a lovely person to have around. But
it's like you're talking from experience. Danny, are you here?
No, just like, you know what I mean.
No, he's just a smart. He's a bag of laughs, isn't he?
Yeah, he brings joy. He sparks joy. Anyway,
I wouldn't throw him away.
Anyway, I definitely think Nick de Vries should have been given more time to the end of the season. That's all he needed.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't agree with it.
Well, like we said at the beginning of the podcast, they did that to make a point, didn't they? I think.
Yeah.
It puts the pressure on Sergio, and it also means that they can measure Yuki Tsunoda, because we've all thought, he was in my fantasy for a long time.
F1 fantasy.
F1 fantasy, just to be clear. Oh, Yuki. And he was getting like P10, like solid kind of, 1 point here and there, basically. But we didn't actually know how good he was, because this season, he hasn't been against a measurable, like a dependent variable.
But he has also been in one of probably the slowest car.
Yeah, well, exactly, yeah. It's an absolute tractor. Which
is another reason why I think it's unfair on Nick, because he wasn't the whole problem.
No, definitely not. Yeah.
So,
yeah. No, so, yeah, I mean, what they're doing is bringing in Danny Rick so they know how fast Yuki is. Turns out, in that specific weekend, not so fast.
Yep.
So, yeah, glad to see Danny Rick back. Obviously, it was amazing to see him actually race again, and he did so well. What does it mean for Sergio Perez?
Obviously, as soon as it happened, rumours were just, that rumour mill, it was spinning. Yep. It was milling.
Yeah, it was milling.
It was milling.
Flour everywhere.
But everyone's saying that if Danny Rick can prove himself by the end of the year, which I think he will, then he will have the seat in 2024. Liam Lawson will then have his seat in AlphaTauri.
Oh yeah, we should talk about why we think Liam Lawson didn't replace Nick de Vries.
But just to finish my point quickly,
put me in my place.
Yes, I am. I was about to make a really inappropriate comment about how women can be aggressive too. But anyway.
Hashtag Danica Patrick.
Anyway, but I still can't quite decide if they're going to let Perez run till the end of his contract in 25 and then replace him then. Sorry, end of 24, beginning of 25.
Yeah.
Or if... before last weekend, I would have said he would have lost his seat at the end of this year, but he may be bringing it back. I can't quite decide yet.
If he can stay safely in P2 in the championship, then I think he'll be okay.
Yeah.
But if he starts to dwindle, then he won't be okay.
Yeah, agreed.
Why did you think they didn't bring in Liam Lawson?
I think it would have been unfair to bring Liam Lawson in. He's doing very well in the championship that he's doing right now. I think bringing a rookie driver in partway through the season is...
irresponsible.
That is a test. And I don't think in the Red Bull family you want to be tested that way. Let's start him off with the best chance possible. And that is at the start of a season.
Yeah.
And I think that is what they're thinking in the back of their minds. What I just said, basically. Yeah. Danny Rick move up if he proves himself. If not... he will probably get replaced. Then Liam Lawson move up, drive along Yuki. I mean, let's not discount Yuki as well. If he really proves himself, that spot at Red Bull could be his. It's what he's working towards. So,
yeah,
that's me.
Yuki has come out and said, look, it is now a race between me and Ricciardo.
Yeah.
That is all that matters, because if he wins, he could be the one going to Red Bull. If Ricciardo wins, it's likely the other way around. I do find it weird though. Why Nick de Vries in the first place? Why did Red Bull bring in Nick de Vries?
See, this is where I think it gets particularly savage, because Christian Horner has said since that he never really saw a long-term future with Nick de Vries, and he's
28.
I know. He's old.
Old.
Anyway, Horner described him as a stopgap. How harsh is that?
Ouch.
Kick a man while he's down.
Yeah, I know.
Just shush.
Yeah.
Like and I think that's really unfair, because after Nick de Vries's debut last year, where he did really, really well, he had other people interested, other teams interested, having conversations. It wasn't just Helmut Marko and AlphaTauri that he was talking to. So if he could have invested his time in a different team to have a long-term career with them, that is surely going to be better for him long-term than to sign with a team. They get rid of him after 6 or 7 months and then say, oh, he was only a stopgap anyway.
So what happens?
Harsh.
What happens? Toto Wolff jumps in.
Oh,
They were seen talking over
takes him for lunch with pumpernickel and
bit of pumpernickel and butter. And
that was terrible.
butter.
Oh, another week of your terrible impression.
Thanks. Thank you so much. I'm going straight to HR after this. They were spotted having a chat, and Toto Wolff said afterwards, I've offered him did he say he offered, or they talked at least about a reserve driver role, but nothing has been confirmed yet. So far, all Nick de Vries wants to do, his priority is getting a full-term driver, a full-term seat.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in F1, in a good motorsport, which is deserving of him. That's what he's looking for.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't, then he has to place in Mercedes, which is really nice.
As the reserve driver.
As the reserve driver, alongside all of their other F1 dropout reserve
Join
drivers.
the happy family.
Join the happy family, exactly.
The more the merrier.
Yeah, it looks that way. How many sim setups do they have in Brackley? That's the question I have.
That's so much fun, actually.
Oh, I think we should reach out.
It's
and be
definitely
like,
not just sim racing, is it? But
okay, fine. Simulations.
Simulations.
It's a thing that's got to be done ahead of races, but I would love to have a go.
That'd be so much fun.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of... It was a slow race, wasn't it? Nothing really happened of any interest, basically. But we have a few interesting things coming up. First of all, we got in touch with Ford, that motor company that might have...
Who?
It's Ford. It's an American car company. They're very small,
No way.
I hear. And they will be joining, obviously, Red Bull from 2026. They're going to... I can't remember the exact wording, but it's powertrain... Partner, something like that. Yeah. They're doing something with a powertrain. So we're going to be exploring some interesting Ford cars for you, starting with the Mustang Mach-E. So stick around on this podcast. We will be talking about that a little bit. Also on YouTube. Just probably where you're watching this. We actually haven't got a name for it yet, have we? But branding will come. And then as well as that, we're on the blower to Aston Martin, to Honda, to McLaren, Alpine. We drove the A110. Oh gosh, was that
what a car.
That was just incredible, wasn't it?
I went into that needing to be sold, and then first corner, I was sold.
I got back and I was like, finance options.
Yeah, it's actually not great. It's not good for personal finance situation, is it?
Well, welcome to being interested in cars. That's not good for finances, full stop. Have you seen how much F1 teams spend
I know.
on their sim setups? Oh, there's lots more to come on the Driven Mad podcast, but right now we will end it here. I feel like we're in a good spot. Key takeaways from the Hungarian Grand Prix. We haven't done this before.
Oh, you'll put me on the spot.
Yeah. Give me one.
Trophies are fragile.
So are hearts.
Oh.
See you on the next Driven Mad podcast. Remember, subscribe highly. And subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, Player FM, and more. We will be there. I'm getting there. I promise you. Thank you so much for listening. I've been Alex Harrington at Alex Does F1. You have been
Lydia Me at Lydia Me F1.
Yeah, and if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, click the notification bell, leave a like and a comment, and we shall see you in the next Driven Mad podcast episode. See you soon.
See ya.